So first question, how many meters are in 1 centimeter? Well, let's break this down. To do this, we want to say, all right, what's the prefix? The prefix is centi. And since the prefix is centi, what does centi mean? Well, if you look it up on there, you'll see centi means 10 to the negative second. And so 10 to the negative second. So that would mean that what we can do, if we want to figure this out, is we're basically going to do a substitution. We would say 1, but instead of centi in there, we'll put in the number, 10 to the negative second meters. Okay? 1 centimeter is 1 10 to the negative second meters. 1 times 10 to the negative second, well, that's just 0.01 meters. So 1 centimeter is equal to 0.01 meters. 5.4 gigameters. All right, what's the prefix? The prefix is giga. What does giga mean? Giga means 10 to the 9th. And so to do this, we would say that 5.4 gigameters would be 5.4 times 10 to the 9th meters. Because we have 5.4, then we have 10 to the 9th, then we have meters, just like that. And so 5.4 gigameters is 5.4 times 10 to the 9th meters. Okay, 76, what is that? Well, this right here, this mu, stands for micro. And it is the little U-shaped thing. It's called a mu. It's the Greek letter mu. It's their equivalent for an M. And so that basically said that is the symbol for micro. And so we'd say that's the prefix right there is micro. What does micro mean? Micro means 10 to the negative 6th. And so to write this out, we'd say this is going to be equal to 76 times 10 to the negative 6th meters, like that. And so 76 micrometers would be, we'd have to say 0.1234576 meters. So 76 micrometers would be that value right there. So we want to convert from the base unit of from a base unit to a prefix unit and vice versa. So to do that, we know from what we talked about before that the prefixes indicate certain amounts you either decrease or increase the unit size. And we could substitute that number in to figure out what numbers we get there. Now, to do this, I'm going to make a suggestion that you use a particular way of writing these out for conversions and using a type of table. And the way you start off with these is you're going to start off by simply writing out the number you start with. So in this case, 14.5 centimeters. So we say 14.5 cm, like this. And this is how you're going to start. What you're then going to do is you're going to make a table. Do that by drawing out a line here, putting a cross line across this. The way this table works is that everything that's on top of the table, anything that's in a box, say this side over here or this side right here, you'd multiply those two because they're both on top. Anything that's on bottom, here or here, you divide by those numbers. Now, since what we want to do is we want to convert units, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to write out the units we are converting to and from. So in this case, we want to have a unit that's not centimeters. That means we have to get rid of centimeters somehow. Mathematically, to get rid of it, we have to divide by that unit. And so what we're going to do is we are going to write down the unit centimeters on the bottom, because the bottom we said was a divided by thing. And so whenever we divide by this, that's going to cancel centimeters. So centimeters is going to cancel here. Now on top, we want to write the unit that we go to. And so we want to go to meters, and so we're going to put meters up here. And so what this is going to do is this will cancel centimeters, top and bottom. It'll leave us only with meters left over. Now, what do we put? We can't just put the units up here, because if you think about it, is that the reason why we have these vertical lines, the vertical lines indicate you're basically multiplying and dividing, but you can only sort of add things that multiply times 1, right? Mathematically, that's the way you sort of set things up. So what that means is that the number of meters and the number of centimeters have to be the same. Well, we can figure this out because we said before we said that centi means something, right? And so centi, if you look at your table, you'll see centi means 0.01. It means 10 to the negative second. And so 0.01 is in the place of centi. So what we do is we'd say 1 centimeter is the same as 0.01 meters. Those two things are equal. So we put them in like this. Once we've got this, we can go ahead and do our math. Because centimeters is going to cancel out like that. which leaves us only with meters. And so what we do is we multiply across the top, 14.5 times 0.01 divided by 1. And so whenever we do that right there, we get an answer that's going to be 0.145 meters, like that. And so that's going to be what we get for our answer. Now you're probably thinking at this point, there was a whole lot faster way to do this. I know that there are 100 centimeters in a meter, so I just take 14.5 and divide it by 100. And you'd be exactly right. That way works quite well for ones that are very, very simple like this. But I'm going to suggest that you try out this method because we're going to get some problems that are much more complex. We'll use this method not just on conversions of units, we'll use it later on in the year on all sorts of things, and we'll get to ones of these that have many, many, many steps. And if you do it this way, it's going to save you a whole lot of trouble because it'll tell you when to multiply and when to divide. We basically let the units guide us, and the units will automatically tell us when we multiply and when we divide, which saves that question of, okay, I'm converting from inches to miles, and I know I've got this in here and this in here, and do I divide by 12 or multiply by 12? If you do this method, you don't have to worry about that. So let's set up this next one. Convert 7.3 liters to microliters. So we first start off with the number we're given, 7.3 liters. And so we set up our table. We want to get rid of liters. We want to cancel it, so that means liters is going to be on the bottom. We want to go to microliters, and so we use our little mu for micro, so we have microliters right here. And so what does micro mean? Micro means a millionth. That's 10 to the negative 6. So up here we'll have 1 microliter, which is 1 times 10 to the negative 6 liters. And so we have 10 to the negative 6 on the bottom. And so whenever we do that, we'll multiply this out. So 7.3 times 1 divided by 10 to the negative 6. You actually do the math on this, and what you end up finding is we end up getting 7.3 times 10 to the positive 6 microliters in 1 liter. And that's how you set that up. Okay? So let's do a couple more of these to make sure we know what we're doing here. Next one on. In this case right here, we're going to make one slight change from what we did before. Last time we only changed between things that didn't have a prefix to what did have a prefix, or vice versa. Here, we're going to go from a prefix unit to another prefix unit. So in this case, 54.91 kilometers to decameters. And so this one might be a little harder to do sort of quickly in your head. This one you'll see it's a little more useful to set up the table. So we'll start off with setting this up, 54.91 kilometers. Set up our table like this. And the first thing we do, we want to get rid of what unit? Kilometers. So we put kilometers on the bottom. Okay? What do we want to go to? Well, we want to go to decameters. But if you look at your table, you don't have a conversion between kilometers and decameters. But you do have a conversion between kilometers and meters. So what can we say here? Well, we'd say that 1 kilometer is how many meters? Kilo means 1,000, or 10 to the third. So 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. This is going to cancel out kilometers, leave us with meters. So at this point, our kilometers are gone. We have meters that are left. But we don't want to end up in meters, we want to end up in decameters. So to do that, we're going to set up another part of the table. We want to cancel meters, we want to go to decameters. 1 decameter, deca means what? Means 10. So we have 10 meters on the bottom, 1 decameter on the top. Meters are going to cancel out. That leaves us with what unit left over? Only with decameters. And so since we only have decameters left, we can go ahead and do our math. So the math says, if you remember, we multiply across the top, so we say 54.91 times 1,000, because that's on top, and then times 1, because that's on top, divided by the things are on the bottom, divided by 1, and then divided by 10. So doing that, we end up with a final answer of 5491 decameters. Almost off the screen. So this is what we end up for our final answer here. Okay? So our next one here. Convert 0.03 milligrams to centigrams. So we'll start off by putting our first amount here, 0.03 milligrams. So we say 0.03 milligrams like this. Set up our table. We want to convert away from milligrams first, so we put milligrams on bottom to cancel it. We want to then go to the base unit, which is going to be grams here. And so once we've got that, we say 1 milligram, because in general what you'll find on these is the ones that have the prefix, they'll always, when you're going between two SI units, the one with the prefix always has 1 in front of it, and the one that's the base unit always has the value of the prefix in front of it. So in this case, once again, unit is milli. Milli is 1,000th or 10 to the negative third. You can use either one. It really doesn't make a difference. So we'll say 10 to the negative third in this case because that's what's equal to milli. And so we can do that. Now we want to go and get rid of grams. And so we want to get rid of grams. We want to go to centigrams. So we have 1 centigram because the 1 goes with the prefix. The prefix number goes with the base unit. So centi is 10 to the negative second or 100th. And so looking at this, we can see that milligrams is canceled, grams is canceled. We've got that. The only unit we have left is centigrams, which is what we want. So once again, break out the calculators, and we multiply across the top, divide by the bottom. So 0.03 times 10 to the negative third, and then times 1, divided by 1, and then divided by 10 to the negative second. And so if you do that, you end up getting, for our final answer here, 0.003 centigrams. Keep in mind as you do these is that you do want to keep significant figures, you do want to account for them. Because of the fact that all the things that we've multiplied or divided by have been conversion factors, we said last time that conversion factors have infinite significant figures, so we don't have to worry about them. And so that's the reason why for our original numbers versus final numbers, if you look at them, they all have the same number of significant figures. It sort of came out automatically because of the way we sort of set this up. But it's something you do want to keep in mind as you work through these problems. Let's try a couple more conversions. 73 meters to millimeters. So starting this off, we would put in the amount we start with, 73 meters, set up our table like this. We want to get rid of meters. We want to go to millimeters. Well, normally we go to the base unit first, but we've already got the base unit. We have a conversion between meters and millimeters. And so what would we say? We'd say that we know that the 1 goes with the one with the prefix, so 1 millimeter is how many meters? Milli is going to be 10 to the negative third. That really didn't show up very well. I'm going to erase that and try that again. Draw that again. 10 to the negative third. So 10 to the negative third is going to be meters here. And at that point, the meters just cancels, just quite out, nicely like that. We just have 73, and put this in the calculator, 73 multiply across the top, so times 1 is just 73, and then divided by 10 to the negative third, so just like that, and we end up getting 73,000 for this, and so 73,000 millimeters, because that's the only unit left, and so that would be what our answer would be here. Our next one, 18.1 nanograms to kilograms. So we start off here, we'll say 18.1 nanograms. Set up our table. We want to put nanograms on the bottom because the fact that that's what we want to cancel. We put 1 nanogram because the 1 goes with the prefix unit. We want to go to grams on top. Well, we look up on our table. What does nano mean? Nano means 10 to the negative 9th. So we have 10 to the negative 9th, that is a negative sign, 10 to the negative 9th grams right there. And so that gets us from nanograms to grams, but we want to go to kilograms. So we set up another part of our table here. We want to cancel grams. We want to go to kilograms. 1 kilogram, kilo means 1,000 or 10 to the third. So we put in 1,000 here. Now we can just multiply across the top, divide by the bottom. 18.1. So 18.1 you put in your calculator times 10 to the 9th power. So times 10 to the, times 10 to the negative 9th power. My apologies, times 1, then divide that by 1, then divide that by 1,000, and whenever you do that, you're getting a nice scientific notation number, 1.81 times 10 to the negative 11th power, And what unit should this have? Well, let's look at what canceled. Nanograms canceled, grams canceled, so what's left? Only one unit left, that's kilograms, which is what we wanted. So that's what we have right there. Our next one, 360 megaliters to centiliters. Okay, so we start off here with 360 megaliters, because capital M is mega. Set this guy up. What do we want to cancel first? What unit? The one we start with, which is megaliters. So we go from megaliters, we always want to go to the base unit first. Liters here. Megaliters gets a 1 because it has the prefix. Mega means what? Mega means a million, 10 to the 6th. And so we'll put 10 to the 6th power up here for liters there. That gets rid of megaliters. Now we want to get rid of liters, and we want to go to centiliters. 1 centiliter, how many liters is that? Centi is 1/100th, so 0.01 or 10 to the negative 2nd. Either one works. So let's multiply. Well, first thing, let's look at what happens to units. Megaliters cancels, liters cancels, just like that. So we're left only with centiliters, which is what we want. So we'd say, multiply this out, multiply across the top, divide by the bottom. We say 360 times 10 to the 6th power times 1 divided by 1 divided by 0.01. And so doing that, we end up with an answer of 3.6 times 10 to the 10th centiliters. And so that's what we get for our answer. All right. One last example problem here. We're going to go from 18 milligrams to decigrams. So we start off the same way we did before. 18.0 milligrams. Multiply this out. And so we want to get rid of what first? We want to get rid of milligrams. So we put milligrams on the bottom. We want to go to what? The base unit. So we put the grams on top. So milligrams is the prefix, so it gets the 1. Milli is 1,000th, or 10 to the negative 3rd. So we have that right there. Keep going on our table here. We want to get rid of grams. We want to go to decigrams. Deci has the prefix, so it gets the 1. Deci means 1/10th. So 0.1 grams right there. What do our units cancel? Milligrams cancels milligrams. Grams cancels grams. That's gone. We're left just with decigrams, which is what we want. And so we then, once again, multiply across the top, divide by the bottom. So we'd say 18.0 times 10 to the negative 3rd times 1 divided by 0.1. And so doing that, we end up getting 0.18 is what my calculator gives me. Now, we do want to watch out for something here, because I just put 0.18. That has how many significant figures? Only 2. Our original number had 3, 18.0, so this actually needs to have 3, so 18.0 right out there. And the unit's going to be decigrams, and that's our final answer there.